From the FSU College of Law, I'm Alva Striplin.
And I'm Jeff Kahn.
Whether you're thinking about law school or are in law school and have no idea what's next or how you're going to get there, we're here to help.
From deciding what classes to sign up for as a 2L or hoping for that key internship that will lead to the next big thing, these students are
taking care of business. Today's guest is in his third year here at the FSU College of Law. He is editor-in-chief of the FSU Business Review, and he did his undergrad at Nova. And welcome to the show, Jodiceson Woody. Full name Jodiceson, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks. We're glad you're here. So actually, I really want that to be my first question. Tell me about your name, because it's very unusual. I have an unusual name too, but I would love to know what's the background? Where does your name come from?
Well, my mom, her name is Janice, and when she was growing up, she grew up with multiple people in her class with the same name, and that always frustrated her. So she made it her mission to have all of her kids have unique names. So my name is actually the combination of my mom and my dad's name. They just kind of mixed letters together and got Jodiceson. So my dad's name is Donaldson, and my mom's name is Janice, and they just kind of threw it together and made it up.
That is a good story. I like that. I always wanted to be like Susan or Amy. I just wanted, that you had like the keychains that had name. I could never find mine, and it was super frustrating. So
yeah, and I think that was part of their plan. They knew they were coming to Florida. They knew they were going to take their kids to Disney, and they always said, well, if you find your name on there, we'll buy it for you.
Needless to say, they never bought you anything at Disney World because they knew that was not going to happen. Yeah. All right. Well, that's a great story, and I really like the name Jodice, so we're very glad you're here. So where are you from originally? Give me a little background about you, and how'd you get here?
So I grew up in Sanford, Florida, which is just outside of Orlando, but my family is half from Canada. So I was actually born in Canada. My mom's side of the family is from Canada, and she actually had all my three siblings, and me had all of us in Canada. So we are all like Canadian citizens. My mom actually just got her U.S. citizenship this year, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, originally from Canada, but I grew up in Florida, so I kind of consider myself a Florida kid. Okay. Always a Seminole fan? How'd you get to Florida State? For Florida State, I really enjoy Florida. So I did my undergrad in Florida, and I knew that I want to work and live in Florida. So when looking at law schools, I really prioritized Florida law schools. And with Florida State, they were one of the programs that had a lot of joint degree programs, including an MBA program and the Master's in Public Administration program. And I wasn't exactly sure which one I wanted to do, but because Florida State had both of those options, it was. And, obviously, the location's great, especially for government careers. So just, all of those factors kind of factored into my decision-making and, really pushed me towards becoming a Seminole. So you are not only getting your JD, you are also getting your Master's in Public Administration currently. Yes. That's a lot. Yes. That's a lot of studying. We were just talking before we came on the air that next week is spring break, and I was glad to hear Jodice say, I'm not studying. I'm going to go home and take a week off. So I think that's a great idea. But I can't even imagine how you keep up with all of that. How does that work for you? Well, the nice thing was the way it works here is for the Master's in Public Administration, I kind of took a whole year off of law school. So my second year here, I actually did 3 full semesters, summer, fall, and spring, just entirely entrenched in public administration. So it was actually kind of like a really nice switch from law school. That first year, it is something, and it's it's tough. So kind of being able to step back for a second and reset, refocus, do something a little bit different, and then come back afterwards into my second year of law school was really nice. So 1 year of law school, 1 year for Master's Public Administration, back for another year of law school, and then third year of law school. Yep. So you'll be finished with the Master's in Public Administration at the same time you're finished with your JD? Yep, I've actually finished all of the requirements for the Master's program, so it's just waiting for my JD to be finished as well. And then
Okay.
they both confer.
All right. And here at the College of Law, you are in business law, right? You enjoy business law. You are the editor-in-chief of the Business Review. Why business law? What does that mean to you? We ask a lot of people, please explain for our listeners business law, because it is broad. So what attracted you to that field?
So one of the really attractive things about business law, like for me, the first real introduction that I got to it was taking closely held organizations and just discussing all the different aspects of it, like going from partnerships to LLCs. One of the things that really interested me with that is, my dad owns a business. He has an LLC. So just being able to understand that a little bit more intimately and what all that means, how that goes about, was really cool. It was really interesting. And then just being able to talk to my dad about that, that's another point of connection. So that was one of the more interesting things that made me want to do business law, that made me want to investigate it more.
So are you giving your dad legal advice now?
No, of course not. I am a law student. I do not give legal advice.
Good answer. What do you think, Jeff?
Well, I think that's great, Jodiceson. And I wanted to ask real quick. We've had a few students on so far, and we've talked up again about the broadness of business law, and that's one of the advantages of it, is that it covers so many or entails so many areas of law. And I'm interested to hear you say, we've talked to people who said they want to be transactional lawyers, and that's the kind of the traditional business law. We've had people who want to be litigators, on securities regulation or just general business litigation. And you've said you're quite interested in government. I mean, you've got this master's, obviously, in public administration. I assume still you're going to take those, so you said you're going into business, but you're going into the government side. Can you explain a little bit about how those two mesh? Because we don't always think of that, right? We think, again, of business law being, well, I'm in the transactional room drafting contracts, but you're going on the government side. What do you think you're going to do with that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's so many areas where business law and government interact. Here, one of the connections that Florida State has is with the department, the Florida Department of Business and Management. I'm trying to remember the name. It's one of the
Business and Professional Regulation.
Yeah, Department of Business and Professional Regulation. That's one of the one of the executive agencies that oversees a lot of the different aspects of business. But beyond that, you have the Department of Economic Opportunity, which I actually had the opportunity to work when I did Florida Reemployment Assistance Appeals Commission. So in that, there are two sides to each thing. There's the employee and then there's the business, and both of those things have to be weighed. There's two sort of competing interests in that. So with the pandemic and everything that happened, there's a lot of areas that were touched on. There was a lot of businesses that were closed. There was a lot of people that lost jobs. There was a lot of not only just permanently closed, there was temporary closures, and all those things have cascading effects. And that is a direct result of regulation, of government. But then there's also programs to help people get back on their feet, help people to start their business. Small business loans, all things like that need people who have a good understanding of what are the competing interests, what are the consequences of government intervention versus or government subsidization. So there's a lot of aspects where those touch on each other. And then just as we progress, there are new areas and new ways in which business is going to continue to grow and expand. I know one of the things Dean Barron has been talking about has been autonomous organizations, and that is so fascinating. And that's not something that's clearly regulated per se. So that's going to be emerging, and having an understanding of that in government is important.
That's fantastic. I appreciate it. And let me tell you, I like this segue from Dean Barron, because I know one of the things that you've done with the Business Law Review is kind of shifted it a bit. So let me ask you first, you're editor-in-chief of the Business Review. What does that entail? What does it mean to be editor-in-chief? What are your responsibilities?
Yeah, so being editor-in-chief is I'm running an organization. So there's a whole bunch of people that that make this organization what it is, and I couldn't do it without them. We have our executive board, our editorial board, and then all of our staff editors, and our faculty advisor as well. So there's so much that goes into it. It's not a one-man ship. There's nothing I could do without the help of my managing editors and the executive editors. But running an organization has a lot of responsibilities. So there's a lot of things on campus that we have to do. There's a lot of training that's involved in that. But then on top of that, because this is a law journal, we get to interact with authors. So that's a really cool part. Seeing the emerging literature of that's in business law. So that's another cool aspect of it. I get to read all those. We have article selection editors that pick and choose different articles, but at the end of the day, I'm the one putting the stamp on it. So just reading all those different pieces and different aspects of business literature. Whether it's moving into cryptocurrency or what is it? Like green, socially conscious,
ESG.
Yeah, ESG, socially conscious, like corporate governance, that kind of thing. So these are all really interesting aspects. But then on top of that, being able to appreciate our editors. So we have a banquet that we do every year, so where we just show our appreciation for the editors of the law journals, and that's really cool too.
And you brought up Barron, Professor Barron, who also, by the way, is once again the producer and creator of the music at the start of this. So he's multi-talented. But next year, my understanding is the review's going to do a symposium based on this idea of autonomous organizations, which I guess he's written a book about. Is that right?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. And one of the cool things this year that I was able to do with the help of, that the Business Review was able to do, is we have shifted to a symposium style business review. So we are going to start doing symposia, and Dean Barron is the first symposium director that we have, and it is going to be based on LLCs and obviously autonomous organizations, that kind of thing. But I think this is a great resource. This is really exciting for me. Like I'm really excited to see how it plays out. I'm going to be here next year. I'm not going to be in school, but I'm definitely going to be able to see the symposium. So I'm really excited for that.
That's great, and I think we're hoping that that symposium will also be online and streaming as part of our new business law website that we're going to have up soon. So
absolutely. We're excited. The symposium, the Stoops Co-Lab site, is going to be a great place to house the symposium, so even more people will get to see it. So we're all working toward this, the same goal here in the fall, and very excited about it. I'm so glad to hear you're going to be here for it, because we know you're graduating. What's next for you? What you thinking?
So I'm going to do a clerkship for a year, but then after that, it's kind of giving me a little bit of buffer to really figure it out. I haven't decided where I want to land after that, and I think I'm going to kind of see where the doors open. But I have a passion for government. I have a passion for systems. So one of the things I've learned in all of my experiences here at the law school is, working as an attorney, you can work as, like a client focus, and the person that is in front of you is the most important thing. And then you can also work, as general counsel, you can work something bigger. And, as much as I love working with clients, I think it's great. I really enjoy systems. I like big picture ideas. So I'm definitely going to be looking for something that's moving towards big picture.
And having that in mind, I want you to think back now. You're almost done with your legal, education career. You never stop learning, obviously, but you're almost done with your formal school training. What do you think has been the most useful thing you've learned, or will be the most useful thing you've learned with the career that you want going forward?
It's hard to put one specific thing. For me, what I think the most important aspect is not necessarily even legal. One of the classes I'm taking right now is called the Fully Functioning Lawyer, and it's taught by Professor Krieger. his wife, Coach T, and Justice Lawson. One of the things I don't think is focused on enough in law school is the personal side, the mental health side of being an attorney. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of I got to get to the top. I got to do this. I got to do that. My grades aren't here. My grades aren't there, and it adds so much stress. It adds so much onto yourself, and you're always comparing yourself to others. One of the things that I'm really grateful that FSU focuses on is that mental health side and that importance of checking in with yourself and making sure that you're on the right path, and not focusing on some of the external things you can't necessarily control. And this class is one of those resources. I think I've found it to be very valuable. But beyond that, I really enjoy all of the experiential learning I've been able to have, because coming into law school, my parents aren't attorneys. I don't know any attorneys. I didn't even know really what an attorney does. So being able to kind of step into that role and have classes where I go and learn from real attorneys what they do. What does a general counsel do? What does a U.S. attorney do? What does the public defender do? Those types of things, and learning what it's like in that career has been really, really impactful.
I think that's one of the things we hear over and over again from people that come on the podcast is we want to hear more about a day in the life of this kind of lawyer or that kind of lawyer, or what's it like to work in a large firm versus work for state government. And so we hope to bring some of those perspectives in our next season on the podcast and be able to share those views with the students and with our listeners. So we love to hear your feedback. What a great... I'm so glad you were here today. I've learned so much about you, about what you want to do, and I know that those who are listening can take some of that advice to heart. So let's say we have someone out there listening who is thinking about coming to law school, or maybe they're been accepted and they're going to be a 1L next year. What piece of advice would you give them?
Go into it with an open mind. Don't close off certain paths. I know when I came into law school, I had it dead set in my mind that I was going to be a corporate attorney. I was like, this is what I want to do. Like, I want to run a business. I want to, do this, that, and the other. And when I actually learned and I saw different things, and then having all the different experiences that I've been able to have, I've kind of been able to expand, like, oh, there's other paths. I don't have to just go down this one path. So yeah, I would say go into it with an open mind. Listen, get as much experience as you can. Whenever there's an interesting speaker, go see what they have to say, because there's a lot of times where I remember being a 1L, listening to those 2L, 3L, listening to those speakers and listening to their experiences and being able to, ask them questions. What is it like for you? Being able to connect with them. A lot of times they're like, hey, yeah, here's my email. Send me an email. And being able to connect with those people and get a feel for what it's like for them can really impact your decision. And you're not waking up 10 years down the road going, I never wanted to do this, So I would say go into it with an open mind.
I think that's a great piece of advice. All right, so we're going to go on to our final segment here, the pop quiz. Really difficult questions. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay. How do you take your coffee?
I like Cuban coffee, so with
super strong, right?
Yeah, with sugar though, so like brown sugar, and it's like espresso.
So like syrupy by the time you drink it?
No,
it's okay. It's just sweet.
Yeah,
but smaller, like in a little small portion. Do you make it at home or do you buy it out?
Yeah, so that's what I actually got for Christmas.
Oh,
was
wow.
An espresso machine.
And you know how to use it and everything?
Oh, yeah. Well, I was a barista in undergrad, so.
Oh, a little factoid about Jodis that we didn't know. Where were you a barista?
At the NSU Museum of Art.
NSU being?
Nova Southeastern University.
Okay, Museum of Art.
In downtown Fort Lauderdale.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Was it the coffee or the art that drew you there, or both?
It was the money.
I love an honest answer. Perfect. That's really interesting. Okay. What is the one article of clothing you must have for law school?
I would probably say a suit.
A suit. Okay. We get varied answers here. So it's always, and I have to be honest with you, you're the first male student we've had on the show. Lots of females. So you're just blazing the trail here for other men behind you. So we're glad to hear the suit answer. What's your oddest study habit?
Well, I am a procrastinator by heart. So my oddest study habit is to wait until it's like really close to the deadline to really focus.
My next question was going to be, what's the one habit you wish you could break? And I'm thinking that's probably...
That is the same habit, yeah. I add way too much stress to my life doing that, so would not recommend.
I see you're ranked pretty high in the class, so it must be working for you because you're doing okay.
I'm doing okay.
Okay, all right. I think they're like morning people and night people. There are procrastinators and non-procrastinators, so that may just be what you need to embrace. What's the one movie you watched over and over and over again? It just brings you peace every time you watch it.
Every Christmas, my family watches Elf. That is like one of my favorite movies. So that's like a family tradition.
Great choice.
Yep.
Great choice. Not Christmas Story. Definitely Elf. Elf. Okay.
Love
right.
Will Ferrell.
All right. Perfect. And last question. If somebody told you could not go into the law, what other career would you choose?
I would go into government. Yeah, I would probably, go into government.
You're in the right city for that.
Yeah.
Well, Jodis, we enjoyed having you.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
This podcast made possible by a generous donation from Jeff and Aggie Stoops.
Special thanks to FSU College of Law's Professor Sean Barron for creating our theme music.